Hi guys, my name is Rafał Basaj. I'm the PR and marketing manager from Bloober team, the guys who made Layers of Fear. And the early access experience will be based on that game, as it is, a single-player, story-rich kind of a game. So not too many of them are on Steam, early access Steam. Yeah. So okay, let's move on because I have a lot to talk about and not so much time. So I bet everyone from here knows what's early access. So I won't delve into it. The important thing here is that early access was introduced on March 20th, 2013. So it was a beginning of kind of crowdfunding on the market. So let's move on. What is the status of the gaming market right now? So obviously we have the indie outbreak. And by that, I mean a lot of veteran developers quit their AAA companies and started working on small games. And as well as all of those small hobbyists, small indie companies started doing games. And right now, I don't know if you ever had that kind of reflection, but I actually thought recently that there is less and less AAA games, which is completely absurd. It's not true. But we have so many indie games right now that the AAAs are not that in that much of attention as they were a few years ago. So the market grew exponentially. That's true. Probably we are unable to count how many games are being developed daily or published daily. You have HTML games, you have Steam games, you have Desura and a lot of other places that you can publish your game. So it's a really huge market with a lot of great ideas and games that are very, very unique. So let's move on. Okay, crowdfunding is a way to go. So if you have such a saturated market as you have right now, how do you fund a game that's being done by a very small group of people? So most of them go to crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And of course, it's not an easy task to be seen there right now, but a lot of huge games actually came out from there. It's super hot. It's like Hyper Light Drifter that was published very recently. So and Kickstarter is a very big place. Like, if you have a great idea, you can go there and you will see all of the varieties of games, everything, all the genres, like everything you can imagine you will find on Kickstarter. So how does early access see in comparison? Well, the main difference here is you cannot fail an early access game. Like, if you have a game on Kickstarter, you have a month or maybe 2 months to actually, achieve your goal. But if you don't, your game will just disappear. And early access has the advantage of you sticking out there. You will still be in early access, even if not many people initially like your game. So what's the problem with early access? Because if you think about early access, what games are actually known for being in early access? It's games like DayZ, Space Engineers, Rust, Starbound. Those are all huge, big games, very, complex, and that need a lot of coding love. And they are often very long in the early access. Some of them are going, missing in action. Like, developers don't keep in touch with the people, and the game is being developed very slowly, or even the development is stopped. So that's the main problem of early access. Like, people don't think single-player games or story-driven games in comparison to early access. They think about it with comparison to crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter. So why people are actually afraid of supporting early access games? Of course, it's the risk of buying an unfinished game. You don't have any guarantees that the game that you support will, be completed. And Valve on its site tells it quite obviously. And Kickstarter has the fail-safe as I mentioned before, that if not funded, there will be refunds. Sorry. So games going MIA. Actually, the first game that went missing after having a huge success, like you see, $170,000 raised. Code Hero actually predates the early access, but it was the first game on Steam that actually took that idea of being crowdfunded. So yeah, because of this problem, Paul Allen, who is the owner of Firefly's blog, decided, and also the manager of a game that's called Interstellar Marines, that it's still on early access. So he decided to check how actually the market looks like now, the early access market. And he took the first 50 games that were initially launched on early access and found out that 40% of them have gone missing in action. They have not been updated for the last 3 months. And a few examples that I actually rechecked. Smash Mac Champions last patch, 24th January 2014. Caliber 10 Racing last comment that they wanted to give an update was done on September 30th, 2015. So it's not easy to make a complex game or even make a game at all on early access because of the anticipation of people to complete it, and there are problems with it. So, it's not easy. Okay, scams. Of course, there's the risk that the game you really like is actually a scam, and the first game that really hit the media because of this was Earth Year 2016. That was people said that they were stealing copyrighted assets, and actually Steam banned them. From what I remember, they also had a trailer that was not representative of the game. So also the last question, probably the most obvious, is why you even want to play an unfinished game, like what it gives you. You won't enjoy it as much as you would do if you buy the full product. But there is always the question of whether you want to support an idea or the financial pragmatism takes takes part in it. So it's something you need to find out on your own, whether you want to support a game that's not finished or whether you want to buy the game when it's released, if it is. So the lack of single-player games on early access, is it actually a myth? Like the first thing when we went to early access was the question why you go to early access with a single-player game that's focused on story, or actually why you even want to have a single-player game. Because of the reasons I talked earlier, Steam Early Access is not connected with those single-player games. In our minds, we don't think there are games like that. So I've double-checked. There were 789 games tagged as early access as of April 3rd this year. So how about single-player games, so early access single-player games? 683 overall games tagged as single-player early access, 328 out of them multiplayer, 160 almost co-op games, and 50 MMOs. So as you see, a lot of single-player games are on early access, but also share a genre with something else. So let's go further. Adventure single-player games, 260 overall. Some of the adventure games actually that are tagged as adventure are not so much adventure, but I'm gonna go back to it in a second. So what interests us the most? So the place where Layers of Fear actually, were put. Story-rich single-player. Only 2 games right now on early access, which is Tides of Numenera, which is the sequel to Planescape Torment, and Black Mesa, which is a mod for Half-Life 1. So not much. So yeah, horror single-player, which is also representative for us. 16 overall, but only 4 that actually matches us in a way that is important for us. So also not much. So to sum it up, maybe those games I talked. This is a early access adventure game. So if you read the comment, Galactic is a genre mix of open world sandbox game and real-time strategy game. Maybe there is adventure in the game, but not the focus. Nuke Knight, you will play for a stump of a finger, past the mysterious of colorful levels filled with different objects and puzzles, as well. There's, those might be great games. I haven't played them, and there might be an adventure there, but not really what people actually think about when they think adventure. So why would we even need single-player games on early access? As I said before, early access is a very noble idea. Like, people who don't have money to put their games out on the market and have great ideas can do it. So supporting the ideas is very important, and a lot of people actually supported Layers of Fear in early access, which was very awesome for us, being so many risks out there to actually bring attention of people to it. So the problem I was talking earlier, robust game on early access are a problem. They are. If you take 3 years to leave early access and you say it at the beginning of going into early access, that will mean that people will think that games or early access will come out in 3, 4, or 5 years, which is very negative, as appearances go, because if you have a smaller game, a single-player game that you want to publish via early access, a lot of people won't do it because they will think, why would I do it now? Like, I will buy it in 3 years' time. And also, we need diversity. As I said, Kickstarter is a place where you can find anything, and why not Steam early access? We tried to change it with Layers of Fear. We went to early access deliberately, just to show that you can do it if you have good enough product to actually bring people. And if you don't have that initial success, the game will stay on early access, and maybe because of changes you make to the game, it will someday reach that point where the consumers or the media will actually take attention. So there's security instead of playing in early access. There's things like refunds, stuff pickings, updates, rollbacks. There's all those ideas are somewhere on the market, mostly in games in development by Good Old Games, which is a good way to go to actually make people more comfortable while buying games in early access. But let's move on to not waste time. So what drove us actually to early access? First of all, the keyword here is feedback. It's the most important part of going to early access. And we had a horror game, a psychological horror game that doesn't focus on killing enemies or running from enemies. It was something you don't see often on the market. And we just wanted to see if what we did with the game was actually interesting for people. So what do you do if you want to go to early access? First of all, appeal to a niche. Like, think what the end user for your game is. We wanted to go with horror fans, but we put it a little more deeper, like not normal horror fans, like wanted people who enjoy more subtle horror scares. Like with movies, you have slasher and gore movies, and on the other hand, you have movies like It Follows or The Others, which is a kind of different horror, a different subgenre of horror that we don't see often in gaming. So we wanted to change that and went to see if the market actually was ready for it. So quality assurance, like you have a decent amount of PCs that you build your game in. The smaller you are, the less you are able to check out. And if you have 2,000 people telling you what bugs do you have and how they fix it and what PC specs are they playing on, it will help you a lot. It will speed up the process exponentially. Also, that goes the same for idea recycling and ideas that you have in the game. For instance, if there are 4 or 5 game designers in your company, and 2 of them say something that's bad, but the rest of the team says, it's good. So you will probably go with it, like teamwork and stuff like that. But if you have a quality assurance team of 2,000 consumers, people who play your game on early access, and they tell you 1,800 of them tells you it's bad, then you will probably change it. Recycle the idea. Use the community. Like, they also have fun with finding the bugs in your game and telling you what would they change to make it better. So there's a catch there. More ideas and adding more new elements to the game is very risky. You need to publish your game. You don't want to stick in early access for 3 years. No one will remember your game up to that point. So always think twice before adding new ideas to the game, and do not add ideas that will be probably only cosmetic. Like in Layers of Fear, one of a repetitive question to us was, why don't we add the full body animation? Like, if you would look down in the game, you would see your whole body. Well, it would be cool, of course, to add it, but it would take a lot of time and new animations. And also, it wouldn't actually, we decided not to do it, of course, but it wouldn't play a role in the game per se. It was cosmetic. So always think about what you want to add into the game. What steps we take the most of early access? This was brutal. We cut the story before the ending. But it did so much wonder for the people. People kept engaged in the game. They wanted to see more. They wanted to see how the game will end. And they played and played again the early access version that didn't have a ending to it. So engaging the players in your game. If we cut the ending of the story, so how would we engage the players? So we made a little fun game with them that they actually didn't know about for a time. So we tell our story by providing notes and personal items that tell the story in the game. So we deliberately put a few, items in the game that were not really that very connected and made people wonder what is really happening. So, for instance, we never tell the time when the game happens, but it's set in a kind of a Victorian mansion, so you would presume it's like early 20th century. But then again, you had a note, a prescription note, where were medicine that were not developed until 1980s or something like that. So it didn't fit into the game. But our story made it possible to actually put it in. And a lot of people became engaged, thinking what really is happening in the game. And the theory building by the community was really awesome. So keeping engaging the players in your game, keeping close to the community is very important. You don't want to leave them alone. You don't want to be silent when you have a game in early access. It often comes down to just saying, yeah, we hear you guys, and thanks for your feedback, and it's really awesome and that you are, building the game with us. But do it. It doesn't take time. It takes like a minute to actually post a comment. And if you don't do it, people will start saying that your game has, been missing in action and it will never come out and it's just bad PR. So making people play again during early access and content updates. We actually had 2 big content updates. One was the event update, where we made a special room in the game that had a spirit board that you could summon, ghosts. In our game, it was all kinds of weird and cool effects. So the first 3 people who would actually find them all were immortalized in our game as portraits that you right now can find in a fully released game. So it stirred media attention. People, shared the idea of the event, so people came back to the game and played again. Also, we added a big content update at one point, where we've added a lot of new rooms to the game. But the thing is, we have added them in between the rooms we already had. So the feedback we got was, yeah, it's cool, the new rooms are really fine, but when will be the ending? So all in all, we were quite satisfied with the feedback we got, but you may wonder whether if you are in the same place we were, whether you don't want to expand the story a little bit further rather than add in between. So launching a game is not the end of your work. It's not. It's trivial. You will still need to market the game. You will still need to, try to get the media's attention. So what games fail in early access? So Petri Pekarinen from Sadie.com actually made a robust research on the subject, and it kind of summarizes what I was talking up to this point. So abandoned project MIAs, that was covered. Fake or misleading trailer promo materials. We had 8 trailers in all, from teasing the early access up to the release point. They were all made in engine, so everything you saw in the trailers were in the game, and no one had ever had problems with it. And if you want to, fiddle a little bit around with your trailers, remember that stuff like that might actually backfire upon you, even if you have, greatest of the intentions. Developers are not listening to players. We covered that. We listen, and the problem here is not listening to the players. It's more of telling people that you actually are still out there and you are taking their ideas into consideration. Like, I remember a story when one of our players decided that he wanted guns in Layers of Fear because he wants to shoot into something. And we're like, yeah, thanks for the feedback, but it probably won't make into the game. But another comment was that people decided that it would be really a fun and psychedelic effect that suits our game to go through a curvy stairwell. And this idea actually made it to the game. So work with the community. They have bad ideas from time to time, but they also have very cool ones that you can easily implement in the game. Game-breaking bugs, well, they will happen. Like, deal with it. There's no easy way. We didn't have many of those, but there are people who, see things that other people don't. There was a bug. In a way, it still is in Layers of Fear for some people. It was codenamed the Jutter issue, which made movement, the camera movement, a little out of sync with the refresh rate of the monitors. And there were like 5 or 6 people who were very, very vocal about it. Like, all the thousands of people who actually bought Layers of Fear never said anything about this problem. We didn't see the problem. But those few people were very, very vocal about it, and they said it was a game-breaking bug for them. So we took the time. We are still, trying to figure out what's happening. But we received like 12 support tickets on the problem up to this day. So for a few people, there will be, game-breaking bugs, whereas like 99% of the community will not even see the problem. So there are problems like that also. No marketing. Yeah, it's like more of an indie problem. You don't have much money to actually promote your game. But there are ways to actually do it kind of cheaply. You will do trailers. It's always good to think about a good trailer that can go viral, maybe. You can never be sure that what you produce will go viral, but you always might think about striving for that effect, and it actually might occur. We also reached out to journalists a lot. We tried to stay in contact. We actually stayed in contact with other developers who gave us a few ideas on what to do. And you just need to be there. Like, staying on the social media is often quite enough, and having an article or two just makes it easier. One thing we made with a completely different game in another company was sending enigmatic postcards that the journalist would need to figure out what the game is about, or even what company issued it. So this doesn't take much money, and people were actually interested in it. So there are easy ways to market your game and not ruin you financially. Also, making a game no one wants to play. Hell, that was the main reason we actually went to early access. We wanted to see if how we scare people or how people play our game are actually something people want. And something that Petri Pekarinen didn't actually have in his summary of these problems is the incentive. And I believe it's mostly connected to games that are aiming for being story-telling games that are rich in narrative. You need to make people interested in the game so that they will come back and play your game, if not in early access again, then at least at the full launch of the trailer. Give people, an incentive to come back to your game. In our case, it was the cutting of the ending and all that games with them and stuff like that. So working closely with the community. There's a beautiful term coined by Philip Kotler that's called Marketing 3.0. This is marketing stuff, so please bear with me for a second and don't go to sleep. Marketing 1.0 was about the products. Like, there's a great quotation in it, in the idea of Marketing 1.0, which goes like this, like, you can have any car you want, but it has to be black. The Marketing 2.0 was about, the people's wants and needs. If someone wanted something, that there would be a company who would provide him with the product. And Marketing 3.0 actually goes more into your desires rather than needs itself. And it's also connected with people actually helping you with creating a product, like co-producing a product between the community and you as developers, which sums up the idea of early access and other crowdfunding stuffs. So what's the role of the community to shape your games in the terms of Marketing 3.0? So I've derived it into two steps. It's passive. Like, we knew that after the playable teaser from Konami, we knew there is a market for a more subtle horror game. But people, were not vocal about it. They talked a little bit that they wanted a game like that, but they wanted, the Silent Hills. Never thought that some other company might actually do it. So their desires were kind of passive towards us. But once we decided to go and create Layers of Fear and go to that, more subtle horror genre, psychological horror genre, then those people changed from being passive to direct because their community was directed at us. So building upon the community's feedback, I've talked about this a little bit. So let's move on. Community as a marketing source. Probably one of the most important things and one of the cheapest ways to actually have marketing sources. First of all, blogs. If you are a small company that, have like zero chances to get to sites like Polygon, like Kotaku, then your best way to go is blogs. Those people want unique content that no one else will have, so that the big fishes out there will come to their blog and take their stories and write on their own big sites about it. So it's a great way to actually start from smaller blogs, and it doesn't take much. You just need a Steam key that you can actually give those people so they could play your game. Streamers, okay, horror genre is right now probably the most important genre on YouTube and on other streaming services. A lot of people watch horror because of, the streamers being scared and whining like little girls, which is awesome. I love it, but yeah, we had it easy. But then again, not only, of course. So yeah, YouTube, Twitch, Azubu, all the other places, YouTube Gaming right now, all the other places where you can show off your game, just do it. People will watch it and will tell their friends, and those people will watch it. You don't need to be discouraged by the fact that 80% of those people won't buy your game, because they will show it to 1,000 more people, and from those 1,000 people you get customers that just minutes ago weren't there. So the more if you are more visible on the market, it makes your game more plausible that someone will buy it. And there's also the social media, like staying in touch just with the people, tell them that you are still there, and post things like even screenshots often do a lot. Think about materials that can go viral, but also think about materials that are just productive, or tell them what they need to hear. It's not use the community as a marketing source, and they will gladly do it. Did I do it again? Okay, journalists, reach out to them. They don't bite. Smaller journalists will always be there to support you. Bigger journalists, maybe not so much, but if your game grows bigger, then they will reach out for it in due time. So seriously, just find the journalists and they will help you out. Okay, so how did the games launch go? I'm gonna go really fast because I believe, slowly running out of time. General coverage, reviews, outlet reviews, blogs, streamers, forum reviews. So the most important here for us, for Layers of Fear during early access, was the forum reviews, the Steam forum reviews. From day one up till the launch of the game, it was we were in early access for about 6 months. We had 97% of positive reviews on Steam. That's a lot. Like, we were shocked, actually. And the numbers stayed the same, and the reviews grew. So right now we have almost 4,000 reviews on Steam, and we bear 95%, I believe. So it's still overwhelmingly positive. So those good reviews, those initial good reviews on Steam actually made the hype for the game. But also, the streams that were also kind of fun for people to watch were also a big incentive to actually go and play the game yourself. Blogs and outlet reviews, they are always, important. You get a review score, you go to Metacritic, you go to, or all of the other sites that, rate your game. And a lot of people actually still buy the games based on the ratings you get. So it's always important to go there and try to find their way. But the very important thing here, be wary of scams. You will get a lot of requests for your keys, and if you don't have somebody like me who will actually go through them and check verify whether they are real or they are scams, it's not such a bad idea to actually employ someone who will do it for you, because it's really hard on a developer if he launches the game and on day one he will find 3,000 copies of his game on Kingwin or G2A or at eBay or whatever for half the price, people selling the game. So always verify. How were the sales for us? We have an interesting story of this. So once we came to early access, we said that we would increase the price the more content we had in the game. So initially we launched the game, The Layers of Fear, for 10 euros. After launch, it was 20 euros. And we are very vocal about it. We told this each time we had an update, we told this before launch. And we launched the game without any, sale percentage. And what we have seen is that not all that much people actually bought the game day one. But there's a myth that if you, launch in early access, that's the only launch you will get. So, if you launch the full game, it won't be so very important to people. And that might probably be true in a way. But the thing is, we stuck to that price, and day by day we actually get good sales. But we didn't see a spike, but the sales are still good. So you may, wonder whether if we had that, 15% at launch would change anything. We believe not, but Steam kind of spoiled us all, and when we see sale, we just buy the games. If not, then well, just wait for the sale. Discounts and competing games during your launch window. Discounts, they are okay. Do it, thinking about the consequences. You don't want to sell your game too cheap. Seriously, like there is a mental thing that if you try to sell your game for like €3, people will think about that it's just a crap game that you just want to sell because you want to earn a little bit of money. And then actually, if people want to buy your game for €3, they will probably also buy it for 5 or even maybe for 10. So think twice before you tag a price on your game, just not to not to outsell yourselves. So competing games during your launch window. I have a story connected with our sister company that's called iPhone for All that makes mobile games. So we had a launch of our game scheduled for a long time, and we were releasing in 2 days' time. The game was called Red Game Without a Great Name, and it was about a mechanical bird that would teleport. And I won't go into detail because I don't have the time. But the thing is, 2 weeks before our scheduled release date, Rovio decided to announce Angry Birds 2, and they were releasing the same day as us, so we couldn't actually do much about it, and it was kind of sad. But yeah, always think about what's your direct competition if you want to launch your game. Probably the best way to think about it is the month after and the month before your release date, and see if people will want to play your game. So very fast, or maybe not. It's part 2 of my presentation. I'm gonna go very fast through that, so I'm able to hear a few questions of this. So have a product that catches the eye of the consumer. Those are tips, general tips. Be unique. Think about things like the unique selling proposition. You need to have one to actually, be seen in the outbursts of games that we see on the market right now. What are the good examples? Superhot. Probably most of you know the game. The game has minimalistic graphics, but still this is quite atmospheric, and it also has the unique gameplay. Shadowrunner Returns, a great use of a well-known IP that's loved by so many people in the world, and also the narrative feeling, being a part of a RPG session, which is also awesome. Cuphead, Disney fans should know this game. All the gamers probably also know it. It's a great, visually, it was a game that actually stood out, and actually it was enough to be seen by the media and the consumers. And also we have Layers of Fear, focus on fine art that we made, also the use of impossible space, and a more subtle kind of horror. So what can go wrong post-launch? Unfair reviews. They will always be there. Journalists can be tired and stuff like that. So how to deal with them? Tell your point of view to the journalists. Tell what you want to achieve with your game, and they may or may not use it. But if you want a good review, it's great to tell the people that will play it how you want your game to be perceived. If the game is hard, like it's a big puzzler, maybe creating a guide is quite a good idea. If they get stuck, you can go to the guide, see the answer, and actually move forward, and not pick their hair off for 6 hours and then just delete the game and give a bad review. Bugs that I covered a little bit earlier. Always wary of optimization issues. They will probably occur. And also there's luck. There's maybe bad luck. We had a situation once. Fortunately, we're able, to redo things. But one of our programmers actually updated Unity right before, a big update patch. So it was very bad. But yeah. unexpected launch of a competitor, the story, as I said earlier, with Angry Birds 2, and all the kinds of different launch problems. They will probably occur, but they may not. As I said, bad luck. But also, you may have good luck. An important figure plays your game. You've ever heard about Flappy Bird? Yeah, it was on the market for half a year. Nobody knew about it, but then one streamer played it, and it boomed. Your promo materials go viral. They may or may not. You may want them to go viral, maybe not. You never know, but it's an option that might occur. And also, you hit an unexpected trend, like it's not something Layers of Fear did, or maybe it did. Maybe in a week or 2 weeks' time, another game that's focused on art will, pop up on the market and will also do quite well. We don't know, but there's the possibility. So sorry for taking so much time. Thank you for your attention, and now please just ask if you have any questions.